a story of reversal and hope. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a great king named Xerxes who ruled over the mighty Persian Empire. His palace was in the city of Susa, and he had a beautiful queen named Vashti. But one day, Queen Vashti refused to obey the king's order to come to his feast, and she was removed from the throne. The king searched for a new queen, and among the women brought to the palace was a young Jewish girl named Esther. She was kind, brave, and beautiful. Esther won the king's heart, and she became the new queen of Persia. But Esther had a secret. She was Jewish, and her cousin, Mordecai, was the one who had raised her. Esther lived in the palace, but life wasn't perfect. There was a man named Haman who worked for the king. Haman was a very powerful man, and he loved being admired by everyone. He wore fine clothes and sat at the king's table. He expected everyone to bow down to him, but one man refused: Mordecai. Mordecai, who was a Jew, would not bow to Haman because he believed in God and knew he should bow to no one but God. This made Haman very angry. But Haman didn't just want revenge on Mordecai. No, he wanted to punish all the Jews for not honoring him. He went to King Xerxes with a wicked plan. Haman said, "There is a people scattered all over the empire who follow their own laws and do not obey the king. Let's destroy them all." The king, not knowing that his own queen was a Jew, agreed to Haman's evil plan. A decree was sent out, saying that on a certain day, all Jews were to be killed. When Mordecai heard about the decree, he was heartbroken. He tore his clothes and went to Esther. He sent her a message: "Esther, you must speak to the king. Tell him you are a Jew and ask him to save our people. If you don't do something, we will all die." But Esther was afraid. You see, the king had a rule that anyone who went to him without being invited would be punished by death, unless the king held out his golden scepter to them. Esther had not seen the king for a month, and she didn't know if he would listen to her. Mordecai replied with wisdom and courage: "Don't think you will be saved just because you are in the king's palace. Maybe you became queen for just this moment, to save your people. You must act." Esther took a deep breath. She knew that if she stayed silent, her people would be lost. But if she went to the king, she could die. Yet she decided to be brave. She sent a message to Mordecai: "Gather all the Jews in the city. Tell them to fast and pray for 3 days. I too will fast. After that, I will go to the king. If I die, I die." On the 3rd day, Esther dressed in her royal robes and stood in the king's hall. King Xerxes was sitting on his throne, and when he saw Queen Esther standing there, he smiled and held out his golden scepter. Esther touched the tip of it, showing that she had his favor. "What is it, Queen Esther?" the king asked. "What is your request? Even up to half my kingdom, I will give it to you." Esther took a deep breath and said, "If it pleases the king, let Haman come to a banquet I have prepared for him." The king agreed, and Haman was summoned. At the banquet, the king asked Esther again, "What is your request, Queen Esther? Tell me, and I will give it to you." Esther replied, "If I have found favor with the king, I ask that you spare my life and the lives of my people. For I am Jewish, and Haman has plotted to kill me and all my people." King Xerxes was shocked and furious. He demanded to know who dared to plot such evil. Esther pointed to Haman, saying, "This is the man who has planned to destroy us." The king was so angry that he immediately ordered Haman to be arrested and executed. Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. The king then gave Mordecai Haman's position, and Mordecai became a trusted advisor. The king also issued a new decree, allowing the Jews to defend themselves against anyone who tried to harm them. When the day came, the Jews fought back and were victorious. They were saved, and the evil plan of Haman was completely reversed. From that day on, the Jewish people celebrated the festival of Purim to remember how Esther's bravery saved them from destruction. Lesson learned: the story of Esther teaches us many important lessons. First, it shows the power of courage. Esther was afraid, but she knew she had to act. Sometimes doing the right thing is scary, but it can change the world. It also teaches us that God works in mysterious ways. Even though Esther was in a palace far away from her people, She was in the right place at the right time. God used her to save her people, even though his name is not mentioned in the book. Finally, the story reminds us that good can overcome evil. Even when things seem hopeless, if we trust in God and do what is right, we can be part of a great victory. Conclusion: Esther's story is a timeless reminder that we are called to stand up for what is right, even when it is hard. Like Esther, we may be in situations where we have to be brave and trust that God will help us, even when we don't see the way forward. Just like Esther, each of us can make a difference. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.